So, let's dive right into this explainer. You know those moments when a basic kitchen gadget just completely unlocks a whole new level of potential? Well, today, we're looking at something that does exactly that. We're not talking about some massive, clunky, expensive machine eating up half your counter space. No, this is about clever, handheld engineering. The kind of tool that bridges the gap between basic raw ingredients and, honestly, the kind of restaurant-quality meals we all crave. So, get comfortable, because we're going to break down exactly how this universal noodle press operates and why it might just be the absolute most versatile tool you literally didn't know you needed.
Which actually brings us to a pretty fundamental question. What is the secret to unlocking all these culinary possibilities? It really challenges us to rethink our whole approach to dough. I mean, we so often think of pasta or noodle making as this incredibly complex, super messy, time-consuming art form, right? Like it's reserved only for Italian grandmothers or master chefs in Tokyo. But what if the barrier to entry is just a simple piece of mechanics? We're talking about going from zero to a freshly pressed meal in literally minutes. The secret isn't years of training. Actually, as we're going to see, the secret is all in the press.
And that secret really lies in the anatomy of the gadget itself. Just think about the design for a second. It's got this sleek, stainless steel body that's clearly engineered for serious function and durability in a home kitchen. There's a sturdy side handle designed specifically to give you a really firm, ergonomic grip, keeping the whole device totally stable while you work. And right at the top, there's this prominent T-bar twist crank. It is a beautiful example of form meeting function. I mean, there are no cords to plug in, no batteries to charge, and absolutely no fragile plastic gears that are just going to snap under pressure. It's pure mechanical advantage. It relies entirely on your own hands and the solid threading of that central rod to do all the heavy lifting. Plus, scientifically speaking, this mechanical pressure does something pretty incredible. The sheer force required actually encourages rapid gluten development, and that yields a fantastic chew you rarely ever get from just rolling out dough by hand.
So, the really crucial point here is the mechanical process itself. It's this remarkably intuitive, three-step sequence. First, you just load your prepared dough right into that cylindrical chamber. Next, you grip that side handle and begin twisting the top crank. And finally, you just watch as the fresh noodles emerge right onto your cutting board. Think about the physics at play here for a second. As you turn that threaded rod, it slowly, steadily pushes an internal piston down into the chamber. That steady mechanical pressure is just way more consistent than trying to push or roll dough completely by hand. It gives you absolute pinpoint control over the speed and the flow of the noodles as they come out.
Now, to really understand how this works, we need to talk about a process called extrusion. Extrusion is, simply put, the physical act of forcing dough through a perforated plate to create specific shapes. But honestly, as we break this process down, I want you to appreciate how incredibly satisfying, almost mesmerizing really, it actually is. When you apply that rotational pressure to the T-bar, the dough has literally nowhere to go but out through those precisely cut holes at the bottom. And you want to know the best part? Those plates are entirely interchangeable. By simply unscrewing the bottom cap and swapping out a small metal disc, you are completely changing the shape, the thickness, and the texture of the noodle you're making. It's such a brilliant, elegant solution to shaping dough. Plus, it creates a slightly roughened exterior surface on the noodle which is absolutely perfect for holding onto thick, savory sauces.
The true power of this tool becomes super clear when we compare different raw outputs. On one hand, you could have these pale, delicate, beautifully smooth white strands emerging straight from the press. But on the other hand, you could get a completely different result: vibrant, thick, ribbed green noodles piling up onto a wooden board. It's the exact same tool, but an entirely different output. This contrast really drives home the adaptability of the device. You aren't just stuck making one type of thin spaghetti over and over again. You are in complete control of the final product, right down to the fundamental composition of the dough you choose to mix up.
And this contrast perfectly highlights how swapping out a simple metal plate or maybe adding a bit of vegetable puree to your dough fundamentally changes your culinary canvas. Think about those vibrant green noodles we were just talking about. By simply blending some fresh spinach or vegetable juice into your basic flour and water mixture before you load the chamber, you've completely transformed the flavor profile, the nutritional value, and the visual appeal of your meal. And when you swap the extrusion plate, well, you might go from delicate angel hair to a thick, hearty noodle that's designed to hold on to heavy, rich sauces. The raw dough is literally a blank canvas, and this press is your paintbrush.
Which brings us to the ultimate culmination of that simple extrusion process. We're talking about an incredible array of finished, mouth-watering dishes from across the globe, all originating from this exact same mechanical press we've been examining. We aren't just talking about food anymore. We are talking about the direct result of that focused mechanical pressure. This is where the engineering of the tool truly meets the art of cooking.
It bridges the gap between raw, unprepared ingredients and a finished, globally inspired plate sitting right there on your dining room table. And the variety this enables is it's incredible. Picture a rich, spicy beef noodle soup, generously garnished with fresh cilantro, or maybe a milder, deeply comforting broth featuring perfectly sliced beef and vibrant bok choy. Or, perhaps you're in the mood for wide, flat noodles, beautifully topped with fresh scallions and a bright, rich red chili oil. And then we can jump to an entirely different continent with a classic Italian penne pasta, coated in tomatoes and fresh herbs. The fact that one single handheld device can produce the structural foundation for all 4 of these distinct culinary traditions. It's just wild.
Let's be honest with ourselves for a second. We all have a universal human weakness for carbs, right? And this single, handheld tool basically acts as your passport to both Eastern and Western comfort foods without ever having to leave your house. You really don't need a pantry full of boxed, dried pastas and noodles when you have the power to create them fresh, on demand. Whether you are craving the fiery, complex heat of a Sichuan-style dish or just the simple, rustic comfort of a Tuscan penne, this press empowers you to execute it from scratch. It connects us to these global flavors through the simple shared foundation of freshly pressed dough.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, we're left with a pretty fascinating thought. For centuries, crafting the perfect noodle was this revered art form that literally took years to master. But with simple mechanical extrusion, that barrier is basically gone. You've seen the mechanics, you've understood the elegant simplicity of the process, and we've talked about the mouth-watering global results that are possible. So armed with this level of versatility right at your fingertips, has the ancient art of pasta making finally met its match in modern mechanics? And more importantly, what flavor are you going to press